Hi, Lisa Best here, author of Heart-Centered Habit, Perceiving Through the Heart of the Matter. This is video 3. In the last video, in video 2, I talked about the heart-centered habit and what the heart-centered habit is. And I had a couple questions asked of me. One was, I just wanted to clarify again that this is not just a book for Christians. It is a book for anybody. So I do reference, some Christian Bible stories, but I also reference the Tao Te Ching, which is an old Chinese spiritual text, kind of in a poem form. I also reference quantum mechanics and quantum physics, and there's many quotes throughout that I talk about that come from scientists and different religions and different philosophies, and even just what we would consider ordinary people that spoke from a heart-centered what I call heart-centered consciousness, in a heart-centered way that points us into becoming aware of the truth of our being that's within us. And so today I am going to talk about this bullseye. And this bullseye represents what the Bible calls sin. And I'm sure that you might get a gut reaction with that word because there's so much dogma and ideology around that word. And that word has been used to separate people and to create hierarchy. And a lot of religion, just like everything else in our world, a lot of the way that we have expressed ourselves as humans has caused more division and separation than it has creating and causing unification, and oneness. Because if you think about, in the beginning there was God. Okay, so all there was God. And God isn't a person. God isn't a physical thing, even though every part of physical existence is a part of God. But in the beginning, there was just this infinite potential, this infinite energy that had the power and creative force to create everything that we see today in the universe. It's the same power that created this body as the same power that created the mind, and all of the thoughts and the beliefs and everything else. And so when we look at even like the Garden of Eden, for instance, most of us here in America know that story, regardless of whether you grew up in Christianity or not. But when God said, eat of the tree of life, but do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And then in Adam and Eve's head, the serpent came and said, did God really say that? Well, where did that voice come from? Where did that thought come in? That's God too. If in the beginning everything is God, then even that which we have considered to be against God or a force that opposes God, that's God too. Because all there is God. But yet we've created this head-centered nature that feels separate. It believes in wrong. It believes in evil. And yeah, we can find a lot of evidence in our world today. I mean, we live in a paradigm, in a society of separation and division. We are constantly taught through every relationship that we have in this physical world that yes, there truly is darkness, there truly is evil, there truly is. And we can find evidence of that, abuse and rape and murder and all the terrible things that are happening in the world today. But I will tell you this, that until we resolve the wrong that we believe in, we are going to continue to co-create a paradigm and a reality of right and wrong, of good and evil. The only way to co-create life on earth that is peaceful is to do exactly what the Bible said, which was to eat only from the tree of life. And the tree of life is a perception. It's a perception that comes from our divine nature. It's a perception that comes from the heart-centered me that says, yes, even that I have perceived as wrong and evil, that is from my past, even that was life. Even that is God. Even that is beautiful. Even that. And until we shift our perception about everything in our head-centered me, that we have attached a label of this is wrong, this is not okay, this is not right, this is not okay to be experienced. Until we shift that inside ourselves, we will never be able to co-create peace on earth. It just won't happen. The way that we perceive reality is the way we experience reality. And so what is sin? Sin was a word, a term that was used, S-I-N-E, and I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce it correctly, so pardon my inability to know how to pronounce it, but I think it's sinye was the term that, Jesus used, but sin is not these actions of wrong. Sin is actually a misperception. And so sinye meant to miss the mark. So it came from it was an archery term that meant to miss the target. And the target is right here in the center, that's the bullseye. And so really what sin is it's where we're not perceiving reality from the core, from the center, from our true divine nature, which is infinite possibilities, which has no sense of wrong. It has no opposing forces. It's one force. It's one power. It's one creative, powerful, infinite, divine nature that is at the core of all of existence. It's at the core of every thought. It's at the core of every emotion. It's at the core of every experience. It's at the core of everything. And when we perceive reality from that, and we seat our consciousness, we seat our awareness in that core through every experience, then we're not misperceiving. However, when we're misperceiving, then that's what creates a reality of sin that we see in the world, right? We see destruction, we see separation, we see division, we see how we use all these things to harm ourselves, really. Because if we're harming another human, we're really harming ourselves. If we're harming another part of the world, we're harming our part of the world. Anytime we're in conflict, anytime we're in war, anytime we're in disagreement, we're creating more separation. And so misperception just meant to perceive more like out here and not from the core. So it's like when we're born, we have this perception right here. And I honestly can remember being very young and knowing this. I had this inner knowing that all there is love. Just pure, infinite love. All there is just, all that I am is an infinite being. I'm not this finite reality that I see in the world and that people speak of and that people are constantly, teaching me, basically. But as I began to sense into the reality of the world, I began to sense outside of my core. I began to sense into my experiences. I began to sense into the thoughts that were, if you notice here, this number is 13, this number is 8, so it's like a higher and a lower. It's a positive and a negative. It's right and wrong. They're like two sides of a coin. Right and wrong are two sides of a coin. So one is always up. I'm either right or I'm wrong. Just depending on my circumstances, I'm good or I'm bad. There is no, both are life. Both are right. Both are goodness. Both are God. There's no way that I can be separate from my infinite nature. There's just no way. Regardless of what thoughts are occurring inside of me, regardless of what emotions are happening within me, if I can perceive everything that is rising within me, every experience of thought, of mind, of emotion, of feeling, of everything, then if I can perceive all those things as life and all those things as God, I will never feel separate from my infinite nature. It's only when I believe that thought is making me feel separate from God, that thought is a bad thought, if I judge that thought as bad or wrong, then all of a sudden I will experience separation from my infinite divine nature, which is right here at the core of my being, the heart-centered me. The head-centered me exists outside of this core. And it's where I say, oh, I am this experience. And if this experience feels bad, then I am bad. I am this experience. This is a great example, I am my finances. I am my bank account. So when my bank account has no money in it, I am lacking limitation. And how different is that than what we really are, which is infinite life? It's very different. But yet we can perceive that way. And so I had somebody ask me, they were like, did you write this book? What's your motive? What's your intention in doing this? And my only intention is to be authentic, is to be real, is to offer the divine knowing that I sense within my heart and share that through my expression. And so I can't give you a reason why I express, because we all do. Flowers express themselves. Trees express themselves. It just seems to be the natural part of life. Life likes to express itself. And it expresses itself in just infinitely unique and beautiful ways. And so I am just one way that this life that we all are is expressing itself. It isn't the one way. My expression is not the one way. The one way is the life that we are, that we can sense within us. It's where we're one. It's where we're unified. It's where we remember together that, yeah, we are God. I mean, who in your life when you were born looked down at you and said, oh, look at God. Here's God, right? Here's infinite abundance. Here's infinite life. Maybe in the beginning, I think our families feel that way because babies, gosh, who isn't attracted to a baby? I mean, they're so innocent and so beautiful, and you can sense that fresh, infinite nature, right? Because that's what they are. And they come into this world, they're not tainted yet. Nobody has taught them how to misperceive yet. Nobody has taught them that there actually is wrong and there actually is evil and there actually is, a force that opposes their true nature. Nobody's taught them that yet, so they're just purity, pure innocence. And then as they get older, they start to learn that stuff. They start to learn the wrong. They start to learn the darkness. They start to learn. And so what happens is that as we misperceive reality by buying into that, yeah, there really is wrong. I really do get hurt in this world. I really have been victimized. We start to set up beliefs, our own unique beliefs. And if you haven't noticed, every single human has a unique head-centered me, has a unique right and wrong belief system in right and wrong. And so what a lot of people do is, and I did too, as a head-centered me, is we try to find people that have similar beliefs to ours, that have similar beliefs to what we believe is good, and similar beliefs to what we believe is wrong. What is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. And then that becomes our community. That becomes we attach and relate to one another through like-mindedness in our beliefs in right and wrong. But that still creates a community of individuals that feel separate from another community that has a different belief system of right and wrong. And that's what we have created with religion. We have created with dogma and ideology. But you even see this in wellness and health. I was a wellness coach for many years and a personal trainer for like 15 years. And I saw this, there was this community over here had these beliefs about wellness. This community had these beliefs in wellness. I also participated in energy healing, and I got a certification in that. And I saw even within that community that this community over here believed healing was like this, and this community believed healing was like this. And there were differences. And then within church, I've been a part of so many different Christian churches. Even within Christianity, there's different beliefs. within, the Christian religion. And then I went to an interfaith church, and even there were differing beliefs. They had more interfaith churches are quite beautiful in that they do, you see all these different religions coming together, and it is beautiful, but still each individual still has their own belief in wrong. And so I do feel that there is this movement right now that the life that we are has been moving us toward from the beginning, since humanity was born on earth. And it is this movement toward remembering through reconciliation. And reconciliation is really where we become the heart-centered habit. So what the heart-centered habit does, let's say we have all these beliefs in higher and lower, or right and wrong, like two sides of a coin, good and bad, good and evil. And as you notice, every single belief that we have in right and in wrong, in good and in bad, is connected to the core, which is just pure life, pure love, oneness, unity. It all comes out of this core, out of this unified field of infinite potential, unified field of infinite energy. And so the question kind of becomes is, how did our mind become so divided, right, into these beliefs in right and wrong? And I really don't know that, other than maybe it was just the process of the mind, which is a creative field that is right outside of our infinite field of potential. And maybe the mind is waking up, right? Maybe thoughts are waking up and emotions are waking up. And they're through the heart-centered habit, by being honest, you start to move inward. The awareness of those beliefs starts to move inward. By confessing, I feel separate, I feel divided, I feel limited, I feel lack, I feel anxious, I feel fearful, I feel like God is separate from me, I feel like abundance is separate from me, I feel that my true infinite nature, I feel separate from it. And as soon as you start to be honest about that feeling, you're starting to step closer in. You are literally being the awareness, like the angel at heaven's door that is guiding back these thoughts, these beliefs, these emotions in the mind that have gone out and forgotten, you could say, that their true nature, where they really came from. That voice that said to Adam and Eve, did God really say to only eat from the tree of life? But look at this apple. It looks, from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it looks good to eat, right? Those thoughts are ready to return back. And maybe it's the realization that the whole tree, the knowledge of good and evil, isn't a separate tree at all. Maybe it's actually all along was the tree of life. But our perception has to change from the inside out to be able to perceive all these beliefs in wrong as actually true life, as actually the divinity disguised as something bad. Until we resolve that, we will never be able to resolve conflict and war and division. We will continue to create those things in our world. So then as you're honest, and then you acknowledge that I don't need to place blame outside of myself anymore for this feeling. I don't need to blame my past. I don't need to blame this relationship. I don't need to blame that circumstance. This lack that is appearing in my reality, in my bank account, doesn't have to prove to me that my belief in wrong and my belief that I am limited is true. I acknowledge that I don't know why I feel this way. I acknowledge that I don't know why I feel lack and limitation. And I acknowledge that this is an opportunity for me to allow this part of me to have a voice. And you allow it to have a voice within you. And then you ask your heart, would you reconcile this on my behalf? Would you teach me, the head-centered me, how to harmonize and to reconcile and to perceive all my beliefs in wrong that come from my past. Help me to see them as life. Help me to receive the divine gifts that they are here to give me. And then you start moving closer as you do the heart-centered habit, and you're getting closer and closer, and you will start to experience this nature once again. Because the further out your awareness goes, the more limited and lack you feel, because your true energy is in the core. And so as you move closer, you start to feel more relaxed in your body. You start to feel less fear. You start to feel less anxious. You start to relax into this flow that you feel inside of you, and it's this abundant, infinite energy that you start to become aware of once again. You're starting to become aware of your home, your true home that's within you. And as you start to just breathe in those beliefs in wrong, and breathe them in, you're getting closer and closer and closer to remembering your true nature. And then as you send love to those parts of yourself, you're getting way close. Now it's like you are in right around the core of your authentic self, of your authentic soul nature, of your authentic heart-centered nature. And then when you thank it, it's like making a quantum leap right into the core of your being. And now those beliefs that once seemed to rule your reality and your experience are gone. It's like, poof, they're just gone. All those emotions of fear and anxiety and all of that is just gone. And so that's what I wrote about. That was my journey and my experience. And in no way do I expect you to express your journey the way that I'm expressing it through the heart-centered habit, perceiving through the heart of the matter. If I were to give a reason for why I wrote the book, the only reason, there's probably two reasons. One is that I thought there was something wrong with me most of my life, because this reality, this infinite reality that I sensed within my being, I thought that it was wrong. I thought there was something wrong with me because I was aware of this. And it felt like this reality out here that I was experiencing, it didn't resonate with it. And so because there wasn't a resonation with what I felt in my heart to what I felt in the world outside of me, I thought there was something wrong with me. And if I thought there was something wrong with me, it just made me wonder, maybe there's a lot of people out there that felt that same way throughout their life. Like there's this kind of deep, dark secret within them, there must be something wrong with me because I don't get this world of division. I don't really get this world of separation. I don't really get evil and darkness. And I know that the world's telling me I gotta find my beliefs and what's right and wrong for me, but man, when I really sink into my direct experience of reality and what I am and who I am in my heart, I don't find wrong. And I don't find beliefs in wrong there. And so this book is for you if you have felt like there's something wrong with you. And this book is for you if you've known that you're so much more than what you have experienced in this lifetime. You're so much more than your experiences of victimization. You're so much more than your experiences of rejection and judgment and abandonment and just all the different ways that you've been wrongly accused in your relationships to the world. You're so much more than that. And I know that you know that. And it's time for you to return home to that knowing. It's time for you to resolve all the aspects and experiences of the past that still linger in your rational mind, that still linger in the head-centered me, and welcome them home. And by embracing them and loving them like they have never been loved by the world. And you become your true self. You become your true, infinite God nature that you are. And you know that. And so that, in a nutshell is when I began to study the Bible for myself, I actually began to wake up out of dogma, out of the Christian religion, and I began to sense the oneness and the unity that we all are, regardless of religion, regardless of culture, regardless of beliefs. And so, I am putting this out there because it is my desire to connect heart to heart. Not just, I no longer desire to really connect with like beliefs. Like I can sit with people and listen to them about their beliefs and just sit there and view and perceive all their beliefs as the divine light, as the light that I am. Almost like there's just these little characters and we're all in this little play. The head-centered me has created this play in our head and these stories in our head that we call our beliefs, and it's all just kind of there, and it's ready to be welcomed. It's ready to become a part of the present moment, and the past and the future is just ready to collapse. It's ready to collapse. Past and future is out here. The past and the future. Present moment is right here in the center, where you get to experience yourself as the divine nature that you really are, with the infinite potential to co-create the desires of your heart. So thank you for watching, and I will have another video up soon, and I just hope that you can sense right now in this moment the truth of your being, because you're never separate from it, and there's not a single thought or belief or idea that can separate you, because that thing that you think is separating you from the abundance and from the infinite nature that you are, it's infinite itself. It's just allowing yourself to perceive it that way. And so just like Jesus went into the desert and fasted for 40 days and the devil tempted him, well, my book is a 22-day journey, and it is about fasting those beliefs in the way that we have perceived them as wrong. All of our beliefs in wrong is fasting them from perceiving them as wrong and choosing to perceive them from our heart-centered nature that welcomes them and loves them and embraces them and honors them and respects them as the light and the love and the God nature that they actually are. And so it's really something that is going to occur within you if you choose to buy my book and go through the 22-day journey. So thank you.